Hey guys, we got a new camera, so we decided to do something fun with it, maybe, see what you guys thought. So we're going to do a little cooking show here tonight. I like to cook. I've cooked for a long time, since I was a little kid. Some of y'all know that, some of you don't. We got Karen behind the camera tonight, and we're going to see how this works out. We're splurging a little bit, but we're going to do something a little bit fancy. Maybe you want to show off a little bit sometimes, kick some things up that are kind of store-bought, little other things. We're going to start off tonight. We're going to do a rack of lamb for our main course. Rack of lamb, great meat, love it, always look forward to it. It is a little spurge, a little pricey, but sometimes, you know, you got to treat yourself. We're going to just do a little simple salad with a, we're going to make our own house cherry vinaigrette dressing to go with that. We're going to do some fancy little green bean bundles with bacon. We're going to take some normal store-bought stuffing, and this is normal stuff you could do on the stovetop, and we're going to kick it up a notch and make it chimay stuffing. And this is a great little recipe. It's kind of new to us, but we're going to try it out. Also new tonight is the cherry vinaigrette. That's a new recipe for us tonight, so we won't know if that's going to be perfect till we taste it, but that's the way it happens sometimes. You just don't know. As we move along here, I was going to tell you, when I was doing the stuffing, make sure you get the big bottle of chimay. That way, you know, you got to have some for the cook while you're, you know, preparing the meal. You'll need about 1.5 cups of it for the dough. We already separated that out, so this is me. We'll see y'all. We're going to start off here and move into the next little episode. Okay, guys, so what we're doing here is we're putting together our little green bean bundles with bacon. Nice little dish, something a little, takes a little bit of prep for this one. It's a little bit time consuming, but not too bad. So here's what we're doing. You want a can of whole green beans, so that you get some long ones. Long ones are the best for this little dish. And then bacon, and just cut your strips in half, a few strips of bacon cut in half. And what you'll do is you'll want to get a group of green beans, kind of line them up lengthwise, and then take your bacon. You'll need some skewers or toothpicks. Toothpicks are probably smaller, a little better. Just pin those up in your little, and put them in your pan. And what I did is I just barely put enough spray or a little grease in that, just barely to cover the bottom, just so nothing actually kind of pre-stuck before we put these in the oven. So we're just going to bundle these up and wrap our bacon around them, and we'll get right back. Alright guys, so after we wrapped up some of our green beans here with our bacon for our little green bean bundles, we're just putting them in our pan. We're going to pop them in the oven. They're going to take about 30 minutes at 350. Flip them over about halfway done. We just got a few here. You can do as many as you need. It's just 2 of us tonight, so we're going to do it like this. So we're going to stick this in over here. Our oven, like I say, about 350. Going to take about 30 minutes, and we'll check them about 15. Flip them over so the bacon gets done on both sides. All right, guys. What we're going to do now is we're just going to make a quick salad here. We're going to make, and then we're going to make the cherry vinaigrette dressing. We're going to try it or not. It's brand new. I don't know. I just kind of thought of something. So what we're going to do is just a little red leaf lettuce. Something a little fancy to kind of go with that lamb, you know, a little bit of that. A little bit of our spinach. If you don't like spinach, you guys know how to make salad, surely. So, you know, use what you like, but something a little bit. We're going to use just a little bit of our red onion, just to add a little bit of zing to that. And then for a little bit of extra color, a little bit more onion there. I'm going to grate a little carrot and grate that. Sprinkle in a little bit of that, give us a little orange. I'm going to set that over here, set that aside, let Karen get a little shot of that maybe. Nothing super Nothing super fancy, but not just plain lettuce and tomato. And we'll throw a little lettuce and tomato, or a little tomato on there, right there at the end. And I'm just going to set this aside. Like I say, we're cooking for two tonight, so these aren't huge dishes. And so we'll get around here. I'm going to have another one of these. We'll set this aside and move on to our next dish. So we're just going to do a quick little vinaigrette here tonight. Cherry vinaigrette. It's something new. I've never tried it before. We'll see when we test it out later if it turns out good. So we're going to start with a quarter cup of vinegar here. This is real simple. Always remember just 3 to 1. 3 parts oil. And I'm just using an extra virgin olive oil. So three of my 3/4 cup of oil. I'll go just a little bit lighter. I don't like mine quite as oily as most. Then we're going to do about half a teaspoon of salt in there. What I have in here is about 3/4 of a teaspoon of white pepper. You can use black pepper if you want. About a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder and some crushed red pepper or ground cayenne pepper. That would be a 1/4 to half a teaspoon of cayenne, however much you like, just to spice this up just a little bit. We're going to put that in there. Maybe start a little whisk. I'm doing this in a mason jar. It's just easier to stick in the fridge. Let it cool down. Keep it for later if you're not using it all at one time. It's looking nice. And then what I'm going to do is put in tonight, to make it fancy like the restaurants, we'll make this a cherry vinaigrette. The house cherry vinaigrette. Just a little bit of cherry preserves. You could use about anything. It changes the mix up a little bit. Get that incorporated good. So I'll do this. Put the lid on. Just shake that a little bit. And so if you zoom in here, we have is just a nice little vinaigrette for our salad in a little bit. So what we're going to do tonight, we're getting ready to start our main course here. We're splurging a little bit. Going to have a rack of lamb. Tasty piece of meat. Always good. Simple to make. Quick and easy. A little pricey, but sometimes you got to treat yourself. I've got an oven-proof pan warming up on my skillet. We're going to have to do is sear this first, and then we're going to finish it off in the oven. I like to use one pan because we're also going to make a wine reduction gravy to go with this, and I like to do that with the drippings and stuff off of where this is cooked in the oven also. So what we're going to do, real simple, we're just going to take our rack of lamb. You can get these at your butcher shop. Put a little salt. A little salt, a little pepper. Kind of sprinkle all of it, both sides. Kind of get the ends a little bit out of my way. And then we're just going to have a little mixture of thyme and rosemary. Same thing, just kind of sprinkle it lightly, maybe rub it around a little bit. Get it worked onto your meat. A little spice. So there's all we have, really. That's our preparation for our rack here. Just a little thyme, rosemary, salt and pepper. Sprinkle it on. What we do in our preheated pan is just stick it in so we can sear the outside of this to cook the juices in. What we're going to do is probably about a minute or so on each side. Just kind of turn it wherever you need to with your tongs. Kind of get all 4 sides where it's kind of seared in good. But then we'll move it to the oven in just a minute. So now, get in here close. We just got our rack kind of seared on all the sides, so we seared in the juices, and we're just going to pop this. I'm going to use one pan. You could switch this. I'm just going to put right in the middle of my 400-degree oven, preheated, and that's going to cook for 25-30 minutes probably. You want to keep eye on it. Like I say, you want it a little bit rare, medium rare. For those of you that are squeamish, sorry, but it's better. Here's where the good part comes in. We'll use a little bit more of this chimay. We're going to make a little chimay stuffing. All we're using is some regular store-bought, you know, the normal that you can make on the stovetop. And we're just going to replace, what we're doing is just, you can get any brand. We're just, instead of using water, we're going to use our chimay as our liquid, so we'll give it that flavor of a little of, you know, the nectar. So let's get started here. All we're going to do is put 4 tablespoons of butter, or half a stick, in a saucepan. Whatever your recipe calls for. Mine calls for 1.5 cups of liquid. So I'm just going to replace that with the chimay. Look at that, I judged it perfect. I get a little extra shot. We're going to bring that to a boil. Just going to move this to medium heat, medium high, depending on your pans. And we'll bring this up to a boil. We'll put in our mix out of our box. Let that sit for about 5 minutes. Right at the end, we're good. So I just have our chimay bubbling, boiling a little bit with our butter. Pop in, kind of shake your stuffing, cover it up, take it off the heat. We're going to turn this down. Might need it later. We're just going to let that sit there for about 5 minutes, and I think we'll be good. Got it? So as we get our we'll get our green bean bundles out of the oven here and just set them over here. We're ready to go with those. There's a little side dish. Those are looking nice and tasty. Bacon kind of crisp around the outside. Green beans cooked with the juices from that bacon soaking into them. They'll be nice and tasty. So we're going to move on with our meal here. So we're going to go ahead and get our rack of lamb out here. I hope I haven't. I let it go a little bit longer because I didn't think it was good earlier, but we'll hope it's not overdone. Now what we want to do is we want to take this out. We're going to put it in a little foil and just kind of loosely cover it so it'll kind of come up to temperature and rest for just a minute. Now, always remember these are hot. You forget that handle's hot. What I'm going to do is pour off a little bit of this grease into a container here. And I'm going to make our wine reduction gravy. I just want the grease. I don't want the good crunchy stuff on the bottom. You want to keep that. That's the good stuff. That's what's going to give us our flavor for our wine gravy. Watch out, we don't want to start a fire. I'm keeping about, I don't usually do gravy by measurements, maybe 2 tablespoons of the leftover fat and grease from cooking the lamb. I'm just going to throw it over here on kind of a medium-low fire. Get me a little stir here. Make sure I'm going to put this on here because I don't want to forget, and I'll grab that pan. I hope that doesn't block y'all's view. We'll do it. We'll run it this way. And then I'm going to take just a little bit of flour. Oh, I told them I'd do it with measurements. Let's see if we can do gravy with measurements. I've never tried this. I'm going to start with about a tablespoon. That looks like that might be enough. I'm going to let this I want to kind of scrape that bottom of that pan. Mix that flour in there. Like I say, there was probably 2 tablespoons of grease there, or drippings. I want to make sure you can get up some of that good. You might need maybe another half a tablespoon. Maybe not quite that. Just enough to get a nice little kind of semi-paste, not complete paste. Let that kind of come up, and then we're just going to run this up. It's about medium high, and then I'm just using any cheap red. This is a Syrah, something cheap, just to, you know, good red wine. Don't have to be anything expensive. Cheap something on the shelf. I'm going to put in enough, maybe a cup. No, not quite that much, maybe half a cup. And then I'm going to come in here, and we're just going to use a little beef stock. maybe just slightly more beef stock than you do wine. Of course, wine's going to give you a nice sour flavor. And we're just going to let, oh, kind of mess there. Woo! Everybody going to be mad. Let me let this kind of start warming up and we'll be rolling back in. So we just added a little bit of flour to our drippings from our rack. Wine, about maybe half a cup, maybe a cup or so of little beef stock. Good, let that cook up. And what we're going to do is just let this come up to a little boil. We're going to let it reduce down and it'll get nice and thick. We'll put a little salt and pepper. We'll add that. So after this comes to a boil, what we want to do is add a little salt, a little pepper. And it's kind of, you know, up to your taste. I like mine a little peppery. So put that in there and mix that in good. If you got a little too much liquid, you can always add just a little bit more flour. You can go the other way if it gets a little thick too quick. But you want this to kind of cook down for a minute. It'll take, 5-7 minutes, something to kind of cook down. Let it kind of cream up. If it's not coming together in a few minutes, add just a little bit more flour, mix it in good. Just top off our salads with our carrots, onions, and stuff with a little bit of sliced tomato. I'm just going to drizzle a little of our cherry vinaigrette on here. We're going to see how that is. I'll tell you guys, we had to add a little bit more spice. We kind of had to double up on the salt and pepper and the cherry. And we think it's a little better after just a quick chef taste in the kitchen. So we'll just put these on the table and move on. Alright, so now for the fun part, we get to sit down and enjoy this meal. Have a little India ale, I think it'll go good. I don't want to advertise anything, but I think something a little heartier. We'll see how this is. Maybe got a little too much head in that. But we're focused on the food here tonight. We'll see how this is. We haven't tried the dressing, so we need to see what this is going to taste like. Nice. A little vinegar and oil, a little cherry background, salt, pepper. Excellent. That's all you need. Something simple. See how this chimay stuffing is. This is a new one for me tonight. I've never done this, read about it, thought it sounded good, and thought everybody else might enjoy it. Excellent. Much better than using water. Use the chimay. A little expensive. Sorry. Maybe pick a different beer. Something that'll leave a little different flavor. But it works good. Huh. Frack of lamb. How can you go wrong? So I'll leave this to last. No. Gravy. Excellent. Excellent. Of course I made it, I've got to say excellent. I'll cut these up. This is a new thing for me. Again, haven't had this. Try a little bit of this bundled up green bean bundles with the bacon. They look great. Tasty. Green beans, bacon around them. Juices flowing into them as it's cooking. Excellent. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our little video. Rack of lamb, bundled green beans, chimay stuffing. A little special, nothing special really on the salad, but special cherry vinaigrette that came out pretty good. And hope y'all enjoy. Have a good night.